Hello, my name is Tracy Allen, and I want to welcome you to Cooking with Some Friends. Hello, and welcome to Cooking with Some Friends. Today we have Nick Seven with us, and Nick is a true, how do you say it,
True Cajun.
Cajun from Louisiana. And tell me again, where in Louisiana?
I grew up in a little town called Golden Meadow, Louisiana.
Okay, and that's down by the Gulf?
About 35 miles north of the Gulf.
Okay. So Nick is here, and we're going to do a few recipes together that are Cajun. We're going to start by starting to get the jambalaya ready. And I've been really looking forward to this. And like I told you earlier, we've got people that know you were coming that really are looking forward to it too. So tell us the difference real quick between jambalaya and gumbo, because we've done a gumbo recipe.
Gumbo is roux-based with flour and oil, equal parts. You measure equal parts of flour, equal parts of oil. You cook the roux. Personally, when I make one, I cook it to the color of a Hershey's candy bar. Put your onions in, your diced onions in that, let them cook, saute for a little bit till they start to wilt. Add your meat, whatever, your protein, whatever you're gonna put, shrimp, chicken, whatever, cook it down. It'll release its own liquid. As that starts to cook and it'll start to thicken up a little bit, you add your chicken stock to it and boil it till I use smoked sausage, chicken, ham, or any like chopped ham, any kind of lunch meat like that, like a salty lunch meat. You put all that in there and you just bring it to a boil. And when the chicken starts to get tender, it's what we use as gumbo filet, which is ground sassafras leaves. It's very hard to find up here in the Midwest. I buy it when I'm in Louisiana. I usually buy they come in little pill bottles. I usually buy 4 or 5 at a time because I go through quite a bit. I make a lot of gumbo in the wintertime.
And so, with the gumbo too, you were telling me like hard-boiled eggs?
Yes, we put hard-boiled eggs in ours. You shell them, boil them first, shell them, put them in them, and let them cook in there for a little bit. And so it takes the flavor of the gumbo.
And potato salad as well, you said.
Yep, you can eat potato salad on the side. Some people put it in the gumbo. I'm not a fan of that, but everybody has their preference.
Okay. And the other big difference besides the roux between the gumbo and the jambalaya was where the rice goes, correct?
You cook the rice separately. Jambalaya, you cook the rice in the jambalaya.
Okay, so we are going to start with some of the vegetables that go in here, and we're going to prep those. It calls for onion, green onion, celery, green pepper. Is that all the vegetables besides the stewed tomatoes?
Yep. And stewed tomatoes, tomato sauce. We're going to do a chicken jambalaya today. We're going to do chicken breast and thighs. So we have a little bit of both worlds. And we're going to use some Cajun andouille sausage in it also.
Okay. So let's go ahead and start prepping the vegetables.
We're going to cut up the celery here, just a small chop.
And that's basically 3 stalks of celery, 3 or 4, right?
I got three stalks here. Just a basic chop, just small dice. You don't want big, huge, chunky pieces. People who have texture issues wouldn't like it. So. I'm gonna put that in our bowl here because we'll reserve this for later.
It cooks a lot faster than some of those other vegetables.
Yeah, we're going to start off with our onion here. Let's get our onion peeled. Gosh. Here I am making a mess.
Oh, here.
Sorry, I'm a little nervous. I've never been a movie star before.
Oh, you've always been a rock star. Nick works in the food service here at our local care center, and you've been in the food service for a long time.
Pretty much all my life, yeah. I started working at a bakery at 13 years old.
Oh my. In Louisiana?
Mm-hmm. Yep. I worked there for several summers, and then I got into the restaurant business. I worked for a gentleman named Randolph and Randy Cherami. I worked for them for a couple summers, and that's when I really got the food bug. And Randy has taught me a lot of things I know today. I also credit my mom and my grandma. They taught me all kinds of
That's one of
cool
the best
things.
classrooms, isn't it, when you
Yeah.
cook with
Yeah.
experienced cooks.
Yep.
We were talking about just a little bit ago, Nick and I were about how some people don't like the texture of the onion, but they like the flavor that it lends to different things. So he was talking about how you run them through your food processor if you want that,
Yep.
and then it would take less onion as well.
Right. You use about half because all the liquid comes out of it, and it makes it a lot stronger flavor.
Got your Cajun music in the background.
Yep. We can't do this without the real stuff.
So your onion cooks, and
We'll cook it to where it's just almost to this is the front one here.
yeah,
Almost to the caramelized stage
okay.
is what we'll do.
And there's 3 tablespoons of oil in that.
There we go.
So you just put the bowl in the sink right there.
Okay.
We'll take care of it later.
Spoon.
Wooden spoons right there.
Okay.
Pick your weapon.
All right. While we're waiting for the oil to heat, we'll cut the pepper up. I'm just going to move these onions to the side, this out of our way, because the pepper and the celery will go in later.
So what about, you use green pepper, what about red or yellow?
You
Does
can
it matter?
use any kind you want. It doesn't matter. Whatever your preference is. I like the green because of the color.
Right,
Mostly, the green's not as sweet
right.
as the other peppers.
I did a segment on stuffed peppers, and we talked about the difference in the flavor as well as the sugars in them.
Right.
The red and the yellow have more sugars in them than just because of the riper.
Right.
Reason.
We're just going to put the pepper in with the celery bowl because you're going to add both of them at the same time later in the process.
It's doing pretty good. It's getting there. It's about. And we're going to do this in a your cast iron pot, mostly
Right.
because it holds the heat so
Right.
well.
Cooks it a little bit. And that's kind of tradition in Louisiana. We use a lot of cast iron
Yeah.
to cook with. We have huge cauldrons they cook in, and
I was reading up something about I don't know if it's in the area of Louisiana you're from, but the Jambalaya festivals and kind of like we'd have chili cook-offs in the Midwest and the Southwest, but
yep.
and is Mardi Gras just over, or is it?
It was in February.
February.
It's over in February, yeah. It's usually mid to late February or early March,
Okay.
depending on how the months fall and how Easter falls.
Right. I think your oil is
Yeah, I think we're
very
ready.
good.
Okay. All right, we're gonna add our onions. Alright, we're going to saute those just to where they're almost caramelized. We're going to smell up the house pretty good.
No, it smells wonderful, actually. Once you get the rest of the ingredients, almost a mirepoix with
pretty
the
much,
other
yeah.
ingredients.
Pretty much. Yeah, I lost my lid to my black cast iron, so I made shift.
Cast iron is so expensive. Well, I don't know that there's anything around anymore that's not expensive. But.
Right.
Okay, so we're going to caramelize those, then we'll add in
Celery and green peppers.
And
cut up the sausage here.
Okay.
Get that ready to go in, because that's going to go in with our chicken. We got to cut up our chicken.
And do you do that just kind of coin size? Okay.
Pretty much. The reason I'm not cutting the chicken right away because I have one cutting board and I don't want to cross-contaminate. So that's why I did all the veggies first, and now I'm going to do the meat.
And you're using...
this is andouille sausage.
Okay. And it's a Cajun flavor.
It's a spicy Cajun sausage, yep.
We were talking about that too, about the fact that if you go to Louisiana and they say, do you want it spicy? Probably for most of us,
say no.
That's a no.
Because the big misconception about Cajun food and like Louisiana, where I live in Louisiana, and if you go into New Orleans, if you go into New Orleans, the food is going to be a lot spicier. Where I'm from, the food is not real spicy. It's kind of, when you take a bite, it'll burn your tongue for just a minute or so, and then it'll go away. That's true Cajun cooking. A Creole is more the spicy and whatnot, and usually mostly the New Orleans tradition of it.
Yeah, because you want it spicy, but you don't want it so hot that you can't enjoy it.
You can't enjoy it, right. And you'll see when you taste it, you'll see what I'm talking about.
Well, and I like spicy food, but I have people in my family that do not.
Right.
But again, there's a difference between the spicy I like and...
Right.
And
you get another little bowl here. And a bowl for the sausage, please. Thank you.
Sausage.
Thank you,
Green
onions.
onions.
So I'm going to get the chicken out of here and get it cut up. Chicken will go in with the onions here in a minute.
And the green onions you just use mostly.
That's at the end
section.
for garnish.
Yeah.
Yep, for garnish at the end. I don't like cooking them in because they get all wilted and they lose their flavor and whatnot. So it's a lot better if we
save it till the last.
Save it till the last. Yeah. Burning on it. See how they're just starting to caramelize just a little bit.
Yep.
A little bit more than that. Get them a little, well, they just start to brown.
Yeah.
Just a touch. Put that in there. I'm going to get our chicken cut up. We'll be ready to go. This one open already?
I don't think so. So we have boneless, skinless chicken breasts and boneless, skinless chicken thighs. The thighs will add more moisture and flavor to it than the chicken breast would.
Most definitely.
But you could use all chicken thighs.
You can do all breast, all thighs, whatever your preference is.
I like dark meat when I eat chicken,
Me
but
too.
my family likes white meat, and they don't like bone-in chicken, so we always have chicken breasts around. But
That's me. I'm the same way. Those are pretty big, so we'll go with 2. That's probably enough.
and these you're gonna cut up about.
Just dice them like 1/4 inch or
Okay.
so. That way they'll cook quicker. If I was doing it at home, I'd cut it a little bigger, where I had a little more time to get it cooked. I'm kind of doing a quick version today. My nephew would probably kill me if he saw me when he sees me doing this so fast, because he's a connoisseur of the slow cooking. Normally a jambalaya you'll cook it for 2 or 3 hours
Okay.
on low heat. We're just gonna kind of hurry up the process today because we're on a time constraint. You know, I think you want to look at me for 3 hours. You know, so our onions are just about ready.
And with the chicken thighs, you left some of the fat because that will render down,
Yep.
right? And
Yep.
add
You
more
want the
flavor.
fat. You want the fat in there. So now we're adding our celery and bell pepper just to saute just a little bit, not a whole lot, because we don't want to lose that texture. It keeps turning.
Yeah,
on
it
me.
does.
There we go. Thank you. We'll let this saute for just a minute.
Okay, the onions smell good. This smells really good. I love the.
Yep. This is the Cajun, the Holy Trinity.
Yep.
All right, put the lid back on that for a minute. Let that saute up for just a couple minutes. And we will be. Okay. Gotcha.
Do you want me to open those cans while we're waiting?
Yes, that would be great because I need this one next. I need those 2 next and this one later.
Okay. And the can opener's a black handle right there.
There we go.
Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and season the chicken. I use Tony Sasher's Creole seasoning. It's my preference. You can season it with whatever you like.
Is there a lot of difference between Creole seasoning and Cajun seasoning?
It's pretty much the same. I just like this because it has everything in it.
Right.
If you read the ingredients, it's just straightforward salt, red pepper, black pepper, chili powder, anything that you would normally season with. I just like it because it has a good spice to it.
Right.
Is why I like it so much. So I'm going to toss that around, let that set for a minute while these veggies cook down just a hair. Alright, we'll let that sit there. I'm going to trade out some gloves real quick.
I understand. Yep.
You're probably wondering why I had 2
No, I
gloves on.
understood right away, but it's the difference again in home cooking and cooking for
Right.
the public where you
Yeah.
have to,
Just have it.
yeah.
Just have it.
So if you were cooking at home, would you glove up?
For the chicken, yes.
Yes.
I always do for the chicken, just because
The,
of
yeah,
the
salmonella
salmonella and
possibilities.
everything. I
Yeah.
always wear gloves.
Yeah.
Actually, I do it with pretty much any meat.
yeah,
Hamburgers, steaks, anything.
yeah.
I glove up for everything. I buy them at Sam's Club. They're just medical gloves.
Yeah.
I get them at Sam's Club. They're relatively cheap. Oh, that smells.
That's wonderful. And I can't wait till the smell of the chicken and everything.
And we're going to put the chicken in next. Alright, now it's time for the chicken. Like I said, we only do that very briefly. We don't want to lose all that flavor. I'm going to put this in the very side. I don't want to ruin your celery there. And let this cook down, render down for just a minute or so. Until the chicken kind of starts cooking and releases its own juice.
And again, that's partially because we left the fat on the sides.
Yep. kind of wait.
So when do you add your
I
cayenne? at the
add
very
that
end?
after I put the rice and the water in, so that way it doesn't lose the flavor as you're cooking. It'll cook. Some of it will cook out a little, not a whole lot, but
But you
out a
don't
little.
lose
Yeah,
much of it.
you don't want to lose that flavor.
And another thing that we talked about earlier was when we were talking about this recipe was the fact that you don't want to use minute rice
No.
or when we
You have
add
to
the
use
rice,
rice. You have to
a long grain.
boil a good long grain rice. It'll hold up better. So, and how I measure rice, however many cups of rice you use the same amount of water plus an extra cup, because it'll make it'll make it sticky.
Yeah.
It'll make it stick a little better,
Uh-huh.
and it's not so dry
Right.
and whatnot. See how that chicken's starting to turn color?
Yep. Starting to
And it'll
get a
start,
little white.
yeah, it'll start releasing that juice here. I'm gonna turn this up just a little bit. We're on about a medium high heat. We're using an electric stove. Now, if I had a gas stove, it'd be totally different.
Yes, it cooks much faster.
Cooks a
on
lot
gas.
faster than electric. Now we're gonna add the sausage. Let that cook down for just a minute. Just enough to kind of warm it through, because you don't want to fry it and get it all yucky and soft and whatnot. Alright, let that cook for a minute. Alrighty,
Yeah,
we're getting ready to add our stewed tomatoes in next.
And we have two
2 cans of stewed
cans of
tomatoes.
stewed tomatoes.
Yep. And then we'll let that render down for a few minutes, and then we'll add our tomato sauce and do the same thing. Get that sausage in there, you smell it now. Boys are going to be eating good tomorrow.
Yeah. And how much Creole, did you just sprinkle some Creole over the chicken, or did you?
I just put what I think's enough.
Right.
You can adjust that yourself,
Okay.
however you want.
So if you want it a little spicier.
Want a little spicier, you can. Well, this not so much. I mean, it'll spice it up, but this, the
Yeah, the cayenne pepper.
that's where your true heat's at.
Okay.
When you're doing it, you just have to kind of judge. I'm used to cooking with it, so I don't use a whole lot.
Right.
But if you like it really hot, you can pour a couple tablespoons on it. I mean, that's up to a person. You know
Yeah.
what they like. I do maybe a quarter teaspoon or so, half teaspoon maybe, roughly, something like that in it. All right, now we're gonna add our stewed tomatoes. Let all that get good and cooked up in there.
That's another difference too. Gumbo normally doesn't have tomatoes in it,
No,
does it? Where
it's
jambalaya.
your preference, the person's preference. I like, if I'm making a shrimp and okra gumbo, I like stewed tomatoes in it.
Yeah,
But if I'm making just a plain old seafood gumbo without the okra in it,
I don't like okra very much.
Yeah,
and I
I-
know that it thickens when you're adding the gumbo. It
Right.
thickens it up, but I just don't like okra. But
that's going to be a few minutes yet. Probably 10, 15 minutes you render that down. I'm going to turn the heat up. Now we're going to add the tomato sauce. And let that render down for just a little bit. And as soon as that cooks down, we'll get our water ready. At this
it looks
point,
good enough just to eat it right now.
yeah. At this point, you have to watch it so it doesn't stick, because that tomato sauce will stick if your heat is up too
I
high.
suppose it's the sugars in the tomatoes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it all renders down. Let that cook for a few minutes, and then we'll add our water. Turn this down just to medium. And let it simmer for about 10, 15 minutes, 20 minutes, give or take. And then we'll add the rice and water and we'll be all set. I have pre-measured 3 cups of dry rice. We're gonna add that to the mixture. And then I have 4 cups of chicken broth. I put them in the cans just to rinse out the cans of the tomato sauce.
And you can use water instead.
Yeah, you can use water. I just like the chicken broth. It just
more flavor.
Gives it more flavor. Anything to build flavor. And we'll stir that around. And we'll bring it to a slight boil. And then we'll turn it down to a simmer. I'll let it go for 20 or 30 minutes.
Covered?
Covered.
Covered.
Yep.
Okay. So in 20 or 30 minutes, we're going to come back and see how wonderful this is.
Hopefully it turns out. We're praying it turns out.
It will.
All right, now that we've added the rice, we're going to add the cayenne pepper. And like I said, this is per taste. I don't like a whole lot, but I'm going to put enough where it's going to give it just a little bit of a kick.
So what do you consider a whole lot?
What I consider a whole lot, people that put like 2 or 3 tablespoons in.
Okay.
A tablespoon's a lot.
Okay.
So that was about maybe a quarter of a teaspoon or so.
Okay.
And
then
we'll
that's
stir that in.
Again, going to cook till the rice is
Till the rice is done, yep.
Okay.
We'll just let it simmer till the rice is done.
Thanks for joining us for this session of Cooking with Some Friends. Make sure you like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And find us on Facebook at Cooking with Some Friends.